First contact gone wrong. Commander Zekthor of the Krillian Dominion stood before the holographic display, his four eyes narrowing in disbelief. The data couldn't be correct. It simply couldn't. Run the scan again, he hissed, his mandibles clicking in agitation. His second-in-command, Officer Velna, manipulated the controls with her delicate appendages. Commander, the readings are accurate. The human vessel, it's still operational. Zekthor's scales rippled with confusion. 3 standard cycles ago, his battlecruiser had engaged a small human exploration ship near the disputed border of the outer reaches. The Krillians had opened fire without warning, as was their custom when encountering new species. Why negotiate when you could simply eliminate potential threats? The unstoppable ship. The human ship had taken direct hits from plasma cannons that could melt through reinforced duralloy plating. Weapons designed to obliterate asteroid bases in seconds had struck the human vessel repeatedly. Yet somehow, impossibly, the small craft had limped away into a nearby nebula before Zekthor could finish it off. Now, 3 cycles later, that same ship had returned. Not fleeing, not hiding, but approaching his battlecruiser directly. "They're hailing us," Velna reported, her voice betraying uncertainty. On screen, Zekthor commanded. The holographic display shimmered, revealing a human female. She was small compared to Zekthor's imposing 2.5-meter frame. Her skin was pale, marked with pink patches that his database identified as healing burns. One arm was secured in some primitive stabilization device. "I am Captain Sarah Chin of the Earth vessel Perseverance," the human said, her voice steady despite her obvious injuries. 3 days ago, you attacked us without provocation." Zekthor's mandibles spread in what his species considered a threatening display. "Your ship should have been destroyed. Your crew should be dead. How did you survive?" The human explanation. Captain Chen's lips curved slightly upward, an expression the Krillian database labeled as a smile, though its meaning varied by context. "You want to know our secret? It's called redundancy. And stubbornness." She gestured with her uninjured arm, and the display split to show schematics of her vessel. "When you hit our primary life support, we switched to secondary systems. When those failed, we activated tertiary backups. When our main engines were destroyed, we used maneuvering thrusters. When those overheated, we vented atmosphere strategically for propulsion." Zekthor listened, his confusion deepening with each word. "Our hull was breached in 47 locations," Chen continued. "We sealed them with emergency foam, welded plates, even used our own furniture to plug the gaps. We lost gravity, lost heat, lost almost everything. But we didn't lose ourselves." "Impossible," Zekthor muttered. "No species could survive such catastrophic damage." Understanding humanity's edge. "That's where you're wrong," Chen replied, her expression hardening. "Humans have survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and disasters that should have wiped us out 1,000 times over. We've climbed mountains because they were there. We've crossed oceans in wooden boats. We've launched ourselves into space on controlled explosions just to see what was out there." She leaned forward, and despite the screen between them, Zekthor felt himself instinctively step back. "Do you know what makes humans special, Commander? It's not that we're the strongest, or the fastest, or the smartest. It's that we absolutely refuse to quit. Ever. When your plasma cannons tore through our ship, my engineer jury-rigged a cooling system from food storage units. When we lost medical supplies, our doctor performed surgery using tools from the machine shop. When we ran out of power for communications, we manually cranked a generator for 6 hours straight." The revelation. Velna whispered to Zekthor, "Commander, our intelligence reports about humans are incomplete. We assumed they were weak because they hadn't developed beyond their single star system. We thought wrong," Zekthor interrupted, his tone grim. On the screen, Captain Chen continued. "I'm not here for revenge, Commander. I'm here to deliver a message. My government doesn't know about your attack yet. I've kept it quiet because I wanted to understand who you are before I reported it." "Why?" Zekthor demanded. Why would you show such weakness? Because mercy isn't weakness, Chen said firmly. It's a choice. A choice humans learn to make after centuries of our own bloody mistakes. We could have limped back to Earth and returned with warships. Instead, I'm offering you something my species learned is more powerful than any weapon. What is that? A chance. The ultimatum. Zekthor felt his confidence wavering. In all his campaigns, in all his conquests, he had never encountered a species quite like this. They should have been broken, traumatized, seeking vengeance. Instead, this small, injured human was offering diplomacy. A chance for what? He asked. To choose differently, Chen answered. The Krillian Dominion has a reputation, Commander. You attack first, ask questions never. You've made enemies across a dozen sectors. But humans? We remember those who give us a chance. We also remember those who don't. The threat was subtle but clear. Zekthor's tactical mind immediately understood the implications. If humanity could survive that level of damage and still return for conversation, what could they accomplish if they returned for war? You're saying your species would ally with us? Zekthor asked carefully. I'm saying we'd prefer not to make you our enemy, Chen corrected. There's a difference. We don't need to be friends, Commander. We just need to not be shooting at each other. The choice. Zekthor looked at his crew, saw the uncertainty in their eyes. The Krillian Dominion had built its power on fear and aggression. But perhaps that strategy had reached its limit. What are your terms? He asked finally. Captain Chen's smile returned, warmer this time. Simple. You leave human ships alone. We'll do the same for yours. We establish a neutral zone between our territories. And maybe, just maybe, we find some common ground. The galaxy is a big place, Commander. Plenty of room for both of us. As Zekthor considered the proposal, he realized something profound. The humans hadn't survived his attack through superior technology or firepower. They'd survived through pure, stubborn determination. And that, he understood, was perhaps the most dangerous weapon of all. I will convey your offer to the Dominion Council, he said slowly. Good, Chen replied. I'll be waiting. But Commander? Don't take too long. My crew really wants to go home, and we're running low on improvised spare parts. The long memory. 3 years later. Ambassador Zekthor stepped into the negotiation chamber on the neutral station Unity 1, a structure jointly built by the Krillian Dominion and the Earth Coalition. 3 years had passed since his fateful encounter with Captain Chen, and the galaxy had transformed in ways he never imagined. The chamber was a masterpiece of compromise. Half followed Krillian design preferences with high ceilings and sharp angles, while the other half accommodated human aesthetics with warmer lighting and rounded edges. It was uncomfortable for everyone, which the humans claimed made it perfectly fair. Across the table sat the human delegation. To his surprise, Captain Sarah Chen was among them, now wearing the insignia of an admiral. Admiral Chen, Zekthor said, inclining his head respectfully. I see your perseverance extended beyond your ship's name. Chen smiled. And I see you've traded your battle armor for diplomatic robes, Ambassador. Quite a change. The gathering storm. We face a common threat, Zekthor stated, getting directly to business as was his nature. The Vexari horde has entered this sector. They've already destroyed 3 colony worlds, 2 Krillian, 1 human. The mood in the chamber darkened immediately. The Vexari were a scourge, a nomadic species that consumed entire planets' resources before moving on, leaving dead worlds in their wake. Our intelligence suggests they'll reach the Kepler colonies within 2 months, added General Marcus Webb, the human military commander. That's 50,000 human civilians. Your nearest outpost, Krilla 7, would fall 3 weeks after that. Another 100,000 Krillians. Our fleets alone cannot stop them, Zekthor admitted, the words difficult but necessary. The Vexari swarm tactics overwhelm individual battle groups. You need to fight together, Chen finished. Funny how that works. The painful truth. Zekthor's scales darkened, a sign of embarrassment among his kind. 3 years ago, I would have scoffed at such a suggestion. Alliance with aliens? Cooperation with prey species? He paused, his 4 eyes meeting Chen's steady gaze. But I have learned much about humans in these years. Such as? Chen prompted. That you are capable of remarkable cruelty and remarkable kindness, often simultaneously, Zekthor said. That you hold grudges for generations but also forgive when given reason. That you will endure any hardship for those you consider yours. He gestured to the chamber around them. And that when you say you'll do something, you actually do it. General Webb leaned forward. With respect, Ambassador, we could say the same about your people. You've honored every agreement, opened your borders to joint scientific missions, and shared intelligence freely. That's not the action of the species described in the old reports. The human philosophy. May I speak candidly? Chen asked. Zekthor made the affirmative gesture. Please. Humans have a saying, we judge ourselves by our intentions and others by their actions, Chen began. It's a flaw in our thinking. For a long time in our history, we judged others harshly while excusing our own mistakes. It led to countless wars and suffering. She stood, walking to the viewport that showed the stars beyond. But we learned, eventually, that everyone believes they're the hero of their own story. The Krillian Dominion attacked us because, from your perspective, it was the logical thing to do. Eliminate threats before they become problems. It's not evil, it's just a different survival strategy. But it was still wrong, Zekthor interjected. Yes, Chen agreed, turning back to face him. And you stopped. That's what matters. You could have continued attacking human ships. Instead, you chose to listen. That choice is why we're here instead of at war. The battle plan. Over the next several hours, the Joint Command planned their defense against the Vexari. It was a revelation in cooperation. Krillian heavy battlecruisers would serve as anchor points, their superior shields and armor holding the line. Human carriers would deploy wings of fighters, their maneuverability perfect for dealing with Vexari swarm craft. Our targeting systems are more precise, offered Velna, now a Krillian admiral herself. But your point defense networks are faster. Then we integrate them, suggested a human technician named Dr. Patel. Krillian targeting with human response time. That would require shared tactical networks, Zekthor noted. Complete transparency. Each side would see the other's full capabilities and potential weaknesses. The chamber fell silent. This was the moment of truth. Data sharing at this level meant trust, absolute, complete trust. Admiral Chen stood. I vote we do it. General Webb nodded. Agreed. Delna looked to Zekthor, who felt the weight of history on his scales. This decision would define the relationship between their species for generations. Agreed, he said finally. The Vexari arrive. 2 months later, the combined fleet met the Vexari at the edge of the Kepler system. Zekthor commanded from his flagship Dominance, now running joint tactical software. On his screens, he could see Admiral Chen aboard the human carrier Indomitable. They outnumber us 3-1, Velna reported. Then it's a fair fight, Chen's voice crackled over the calm, her tone wry. Despite the tension, Zekthor felt his mandibles spread in what he'd learned humans called a grin. You have a peculiar definition of fair, Admiral. Stick with us long enough, and it'll make sense, Chen replied. All ships, this is Admiral Chen. The Vexari think they can take our worlds. Let's educate them on why that's a bad idea. Human ships, execute pattern Delta 7. Krillian forces, anchoring positions. Acknowledged, Zekthor responded. All Krillian vessels, battle formation Karis 3. Show them what the Dominion's shields can withstand. The Battle of Kepler. The Vexari swarmed forward, thousands of ships in a chaotic mass. But chaos met order as Krillian battlecruisers formed an impenetrable wall, their shields overlapping in a technique that only worked with perfect coordination. The Vexari crashed against it like waves against stone. Behind the shield wall, human carriers launched their fighters. Hundreds of small craft poured through gaps in the Krillian formation, their pilots exploiting the precision targeting data flowing from Krillian sensors. "It's working," Delna breathed in amazement. Zekthor watched the tactical display with fascination. Separately, neither fleet could have held. Together, they were greater than the sum of their parts. Krillian durability with human agility. Krillian discipline with human creativity. The battle raged for 7 hours. Vexari ships fell by the hundreds, unable to adapt to the coordinated defense. When their queenship finally turned to flee, a cheer erupted across the combined fleet. The new galaxy. Weeks later, Zekthor stood again with Chen on Unity 1, watching reconstruction efforts on both Krillian and human worlds. "We did it," Chen said simply. "We did," Zekthor agreed. "Though I confess, 3 years ago I would never have believed such cooperation possible." "You know what the funny thing is?" Chen asked. "Neither would most humans. We've spent our entire history fighting each other over the stupidest things. Skin color, beliefs, which god we pray to, which piece of dirt we were born on." She shook her head. "It took meeting alien species to realize we're all more alike than different." "Is that a human saying?" "It should be," Chen smiled. "But here's what I've learned, Ambassador. Every species has its strengths and weaknesses. Krillians are disciplined, loyal, strong. Humans are adaptable, creative, stubborn as hell. Neither is better, just different. And different isn't scary. It's useful." Zekthor considered this, watching human and Krillian crews work side by side on the damaged stations. "What happens now?" "Now?" Chen turned to him with that characteristic human optimism. "Now we build something better. The Galactic Council has already requested joint human-Krillian peacekeeping forces. Turns out, other species noticed what we accomplished. They want in. A new alliance? A new way of thinking," Chen corrected. "One where we choose cooperation over conquest. Where we remember that mercy isn't weakness, it's the foundation of civilization. The legacy." Zekthor felt something unfamiliar stirring in his chest, hope, the humans would call it. 3 years ago, he'd nearly killed every human on the Perseverance. Today, humans and Krillians were saving each other's worlds. "Captain Chen, Admiral Chen," he corrected himself, "when we first met, you said humans remember those who give them a chance. I understand now what you meant." "Oh? You didn't just give me a chance to change. You gave me a reason to." He gestured to the viewport, to the ships of 2 species working in perfect harmony. "You showed me that strength isn't just about winning battles. It's about building something worth fighting for." Chen extended her hand, a human gesture Zekthor had learned meant respect and agreement. He gripped it carefully with his larger, scaled hand. "To building something worth fighting for," Chen said. "And to the stubbornness required to see it through," Zekthor added. As they stood together watching the new galaxy they were creating, Zekthor realized that 3 years ago he'd learned an important lesson: humans don't know when to quit. Today, he understood that sometimes, the most powerful weapon in the galaxy isn't knowing when to fight. It's knowing when to stop. The end.